good morning. Hopefully, everybody can hear me and my mic is working well. Appreciate you guys being here. So, today is Adam Montgomery's sentencing. We have seen this through his whole trial. I know Peacock is here. She was here with us. Shorty was here with us. We all sat and watched the horrific trial of Adam Montgomery, charged in the murder of his daughter, Harmony Montgomery. So today is his sentencing, and Adam is indeed in the courthouse already. So we finally will be able to see Adam actually face, what he has done. As most of you know, Adam did not show up for the entire trial, only during the jury selection, I believe it was. So hi, little Irish girl. Thank you guys all for being here again. Real quick before we get started, can everybody hear me really well? Okay, I checked my phone. You guys can hear me. Before we get started with that, there is something I do want to play for all of us real quick. Many of you know her through the YouTube streets, and I woke to the news this morning that Heels in the Air had passed last night, and it was devastating news. I personally absolutely loved watching Heels. I loved to wake up to when she would do her shorts in the mornings and the upbeat music and her introduction. It really got me, and my day started very well, and I really loved watching it. I had to kinda giggle because I did think back to when, I saw her do her first live, and bless her heart, she was so technology, like, she just didn't do well with it, and I just had to kinda giggle and chuckle at remembering, her first live that she did, and for all of us, our first lives are always difficult, but, Heels really struggled, but she just does such an amazing, to me, very, powerful, inspiring, strong woman, and, Chasing Truth is another creator that I follow and respect highly, and she pieced this together earlier. So while we're waiting for this hearing to get started, I just wanted to play this for everybody real quick. In memory of Hills in the Air. She was wonderful. So let me play this real quick for you guys, and I don't think Chasing will mind at all that I'm playing her video. But let's play this, and then let's get started on Adam Montgomery.
Am I right? Am I wrong? I think I'm right.
So, as you guys can see, is so upbeat, and I loved waking up in the morning to watch Heels videos. She will be dearly missed in this entire community, and yeah, it's so sad. It's heartbreaking, and I think most everybody in here knows who Heels in the Air is. So, anyway, all right. Again, thank you for being here. I'm waiting. They have not started the hearing yet. But real quick, let me give you just kind of a quick rundown. I think everybody can see that, hopefully. So, this has been updated this morning at 7:45 a.m. Adam Montgomery has already been sentenced to decades in prison in a separate case involving stolen weapons and being an armed career criminal. Now, state prosecutors are requesting that Adam Montgomery be sentenced to 56 years to life for murdering his daughter, Harmony Montgomery. Montgomery's attorneys, meanwhile, have yet to file their sentencing recommendations, and this was 7:45 this morning. Investigators say Harmony was killed late in 2019. Her remains have never been found, so we need to keep that in our minds that her remains have not been found, and Harmony still needs to be found. She's still out there. We still need to bring her home. Harmony's mother, Crystal Sorey, told the news that she would be okay if Adam receives a reduced sentence so long as he provides information about what he did with Harmony's body. But she's not confident he would agree to that. I don't think Adam is ever going to say what he did with Harmony. Do you guys, anybody here, think that he would ever come out and give up that kind of control? I don't. I just don't think he is going to do so. Crystal went on to say, I know how sick he is. I know he'll never give up her location, but I know I'll never give up, so I'll find her. Adam was not in the courtroom for his trial, as most of us well know, but a judge has ordered him to appear for the sentencing today. At this point, it's unclear if he'll comply with that order. Now, again, this was 7:45 this morning. Before the sentence is handed down, the judge will hear victim impact statements from Harmony's loved one, including a statement from her half brother, who is now 7 years old. Now, I was watching Vinny Politan last night, and he was saying that the adoptive parents of her half brother had put out a statement. I guess it must have been on Twitter or X, and um, there seemed to be kind of an issue on whether or not they were going to let the adopted parents of her half brother speak on his behalf in a victim statement. So it does appear that that is going to happen. So just so you guys know, this sentencing hearing very well could be a trigger for a lot of people. So just protect your own mental health with it. The victim impact statements, no doubt, are going to be very difficult for many of us that have followed this from the beginning to be, to sit and listen to, but it needs to be done, and that's how we get justice. At 10:39 a.m., they also updated this. Now, this is WMUR.com. They updated News 9 Investigates has learned that Adam Montgomery has arrived at the courthouse ahead of his sentencing hearing scheduled for 1 p.m. today. Until now, it was unclear whether he would show up for the hearing after he declined to appear for most of his murder trial. A judge later ordered him to appear for the sentencing hearing. And in February, Adam, 34 years old, was found guilty of second-degree murder, second-degree assault, falsifying physical evidence, abuse of a corpse, and tampering with a witness and informants in the death of his daughter, Harmony. We can play. Let's see if they've got anything going on the news. So right now, they still don't have anything going on the news yet.
Gene, for many people today, today's hearing will close a chapter in this case. But for those who knew Harmony, there will be no rest until the little girl's remains are recovered. The body of 5-year-old Harmony Montgomery has never been found. Investigators believe that she was murdered in December of 2019. Now, earlier this year, her father, Adam, was convicted of her murder. He's already serving decades in prison on an unrelated weapons conviction. Harmony's biological mother is among those expected to read a victim impact statement at this afternoon's sentencing hearing. She says she wants to look Adam Montgomery in the eye and let him know that he hasn't broken her, and remind people that what this case is about is a 5-year-old girl who never got the chance to live her life.
She was going to be something really incredible, you know. I really know that. I know that she was going to be amazing, whether it was going to be a star, an actress, ice skater, whatever she was going to do in her life, she was going to be incredible at it.
Crystal Sorry says she would be willing to accept a lesser sentence for Adam if he would reveal the whereabouts of Harmony's body, but she doesn't think Adam will do that. The sentencing hearing is scheduled to start at 1 p.m., and you can watch it live right here on WMUR. Reporting live in Manchester, Ray Brewer, WMUR News 9.
So I believe they should be getting started in about 10 minutes. Ramblin', were you at the trial? It sounds like you were there. We all watched it from here, but the trial, a lot of it was really rough to watch. And if you're not, completely up to date on this, I do have a few videos that give you a timeline, a good rundown of everything that's happened over the years with this case. Yeah, did any of you watch Vinnie Politan last night or yesterday afternoon? He really got pretty upset over the whole justice system and how he feels that his part of the justice system, because he used to be a prosecutor and an attorney, how he really felt that Harmony was let down by the system he so believed in, and he was very passionate about it. If you guys haven't watched it, um, I would definitely go take a look because it was pretty powerful. I almost clipped some of it. You were there. Gosh, I'm sure it was much harder to be in the courtroom than it was for us, that we're just here streaming it. It had to have been very difficult. Liplock, thank you so much for being here. Little Irish girl, I agree, and I think that might be the problem. Does Adam even know where she's at? I don't know. But I do believe that, like you do, Little Irish, that unfortunately she's going to be in many places. So it looks like there's another update. This was just a few minutes ago. Legal analyst Patricia LaFrance says victim impact statements will be an important part of this sentencing. She noticed that since Harmony can't speak for herself, others will have to. Or noted, sorry. LaFrance also said there may be opportunities for Adam Montgomery to reach a plea deal if he offers information on where he disposed of Harmony's remains. Adam Montgomery is facing 2 additional trials, so a deal could be worked out related to those. I'm interested in how you guys feel about that. Do you feel that a plea deal is a fair thing if he lets authorities know where to find Harmony? I don't know how I feel about that. Yeah, the U-Haul trip. Yes. Forever in our hearts, dancing in the clouds with Jesus. Heels was just such a strong person. I saw what she went through on YouTube, and she just kind of came out swinging, and I highly respected that from her, that she stood her ground, and I just think she's a very strong woman, and I deeply admire her. So, what do you guys think about if he can do a plea deal? I would like for them to know where Harmony is, but I have so much hatred in me for Adam and Kayla both, to be honest. But at this point, regardless, he's going to be in jail for the rest of his life. If Harmony were your granddaughter, you'd say a plea deal, please. But in this case, it's up to the family. Yeah, I think I would want to know. So I probably would, I probably would feel the same. Lip lock. Ramblin said I wouldn't believe a word he said. And hey, Kayla is getting ready to get out of jail here pretty soon too. I think she gets out. When does she get out? In June? Let me see if I can find out when she gets out. I know it's not much longer now. Just complete failure after failure. There's the timeline. You think she's out? Let me look real quick. Because I don't think she's out yet. So this is Kayla. This is Adam's estranged wife. She absolutely played a vital role in everything, including, with Harmony. I was pretty sickened that she got off as easily as she did. She got off of everything because she testified against Adam. She did play a very crucial role in testifying against him, but still. So she's expected to be released in May, days before her husband is scheduled to be sentenced. So did she just get out then? She very well might be out then, because this does say that she was scheduled to be released just days before his sentencing hearing. Liplock said, I have so much hatred in my heart toward Adam and Caleb both as well that I can't find a place of forgiveness inside myself. Me either. Nope. I cannot be objective at all. There's no way. Nope. She probably won't be out long. I mean, she's lost her children. She's lost her husband. She's not a very well liked person, and she's got a pretty torturous drug, history, past, things like that. So we'll see. We'll see if she turns it around. That'd be great, because I think all the kids, children all need their parents no matter what. But in this case, I just don't know. Ramblin' Rome said, I promised myself I'd keep my rage for Harmony, so-called parents, all of them, from affecting what today is actually about. I hope he hears all of our vibes and every word said in the courtroom today. In Little Irish, as a recovering addict, I know she won't stay clean. I don't think she's going to either, just because she has this is, well, first of all, what she helped Adam with is so atrocious that she has to be able to live with that. And with her past, drug history and stuff, she was into pretty heavy drugs at that. I don't know. I bet she's not. During the trial, I remember the only time Kayla really cried was when it was about Adam. She didn't cry for Harmony. She cried for Adam. She's young, yeah. Wow. Well, congratulations, little Irish girl. That's amazing. 30 years to get clean. It's hard. I'm sure it's very hard. I try to have a lot of, compassion for those that are addicts or have been addicted. And I know that everybody is, everybody can change. It's just a lot of work. It's a whole lot of work. Yes, definitely. Good for you, little Irish. 7 years. Congratulations. Truly, congratulations. Because I know that I've not ever been addicted, but I do know people that are. I think we all do. And it's not easy. It's just not an easy thing to do, and I think it takes everything you have in you to be able to do that, and to stay clean is amazing, so congratulations. And this is up. I'm just waiting for them to get that started. We can go over this timeline real quick while we're waiting on them, in case anybody has forgotten. But the search for Harmony, 5-year-old girl at the time in 2019. So she was last seen in 2019. It became a murder investigation. June of 2014, Harmony was born to Crystal Sorey and her father, Adam Montgomery. At the time of Harmony, and this is little adorable Harmony, at the time of her birth, Adam was in prison. So long history there. August 2014 to January 2018, Harmony was removed from her mother's care 3 times because of neglect related to drug use. So her mom was also on drugs. Um, Harmony visited her father in prison twice, in January and then again in July of 2015. Now, it was September of 2015. So this case is, it's been going on for quite some time. September 2015, Adam was released from prison. He moved to New Hampshire. And then a year after his release, he contacted the Massachusetts Department of Children and Families for the first time to resume his visits with Harmony. And they allowed it. Just got to change your whole life. Exactly. Yeah, not too hard. You just got to move away, get new friends, new family, possibly. Yeah, it's a lot of work. I'm kind of moody today. No pun intended. No problem, lip lock. Yes, she is. She's absolutely precious. So yeah, in 2016, Adam contacted Children and Family Services for the first time to resume visits with Harmony. In February of 2017, after visiting with Harmony once per month, one time per month for 5 months, that's it, Adam stops responding to DCF requests for future meetings. August of 2018, Adam meets with Harmony for the first time in 11 months and the 9th time in her life. He had contacted DCF in September 2017 after a 7-month period with no contact. So, Father of the Year, he absolutely was not. July of 2018, Crystal, the mother of Harmony, loses custody of her daughter in Massachusetts. Crystal later told police that she lost custody because of drug addiction issues. Harmony was placed in a foster home in Haverhill. And during the trial, we did hear the foster mom, her testimony. She was a very good witness. They absolutely adored and loved Harmony dearly. I imagine we'll hear a victim impact statement from the foster mother today as well. December 2018, the Massachusetts Department of Children and Family requested a home study by the New Hampshire Division of Children, Youth, and Families at the Montgomery's home in Manchester. The request did not include the necessary information to initiate a home study, New Hampshire officials say. February 2019, Harmony's father is granted legal custody of her by a family court judge. So after all of that, February 2019, he gets legal custody. DCYF officials are notified of the custody decision before it received the additional information it requested for the home study. So that's how badly she was let down. Easter of 2019, I remember when this very first came out, this video. Crystal says she spoke to her daughter on a FaceTime call around this time. She said that was the last time that she saw Harmony. And we can play that real quick.
Well, Harmony's mother, along with her family, gathered here at this park in Manchester tonight. Everyone coming together, vowing to bring Harmony home. Crystal Sorey holds hands with her family.
It wouldn't let me play it. Let's see. All right. Well, that's okay because we have more updates, it looks like. So that is looks like Harmony's mom right there. So they must have just been getting video of, Crystal coming into the courthouse. Alright, so yeah, it was the police chief sharing a hug with Crystal Sorey, who is Harmony's birth mother outside the courthouse. So that's what that was. And right now we're just waiting for them to start. It should be starting anytime. I have it pulled up, and so far they have not. Right. I feel the same way, little Irish girl. She doesn't get a total pass from me either. Not at all. I know, she it appears to have changed her life and gotten off the drugs, and she's done a wonderful job at doing all that, and I'm grateful for that. But yeah. She was dollars for him. Absolutely. Yeah, because the adopted parents of Harmony's half brother also wanted to adopt Harmony, and they were not allowed to do so. And had they been allowed, this would have been a completely different situation than what we have right now.
And thank you so much for being here, Patricia. Adam Montgomery transported to the courthouse. We just saw that. He's due in the courtroom in under an hour for the sentencing. How important is it that he be there in person, even though he lobbied to not attend a sentencing at all?
Right. Well, it's very important for him to be there for the victim's family, so that they can address, their comments to him. Their comments will be addressed to the court, but also for him to hear it as well. I think it is very cathartic for victims to address, the person who did these horrific crimes to his face.
And we mentioned that the prosecution submitted a sentencing recommendation of 56 years to life. No sentencing recommendation from the defense. Is there any way to gauge what the judge will decide?
Yeah, I mean, so the sentencing recommendation from the state, they cited a bunch of cases that are similar in nature, murders of children, in typically the same way, through beating. So, their sentencing recommendation is right along with what those defendants got. So, the judge will be guided by that, but also something to consider also is Adam.
Also, like, the judge gave Adam gave Adam custody of Harmony with that little teardrop on his face and all, and thought that this was a good place to send the little girl. I don't know. That makes me mad as well. Like I said, I suggest you guys watch that, what Vinny put out yesterday on this hearing and his thoughts on it. I don't watch Vinny all the time, but I did happen to catch that, thankfully, and I'm telling you, he was pretty passionate about it.
Montgomery has an extensive criminal history, which was brought up in the sentencing memorandum. So, that's something that the judge will take into consideration as well.
And to this date, Montgomery maintains his innocence in the murder of his daughter, only admitting that he helped hide her body. At this point, is there any chance for any sort of a plea deal in exchange for information?
Yeah, well, remember, he still has, I think, 2 trials to go. So he may try to work something out. Also, again, if there's information.
Lip lock, I just wanted to say I can totally understand that. I knew that this would be hard for me to do. You guys have seen me cover some of these before, and I do get choked up and kind of tend to lose it a little bit and cry. So I knew going into it this morning I was going to see it through as well. We covered the trial. I've done multiple videos on Harmony, and this is kind of the finality of it. And so we're going to get through it together, Lip Lock. I promise you, we will. And he is a loser. Loser, for sure. Stardust, hello. Thank you for being here. And again, we're just waiting on them to get started. So
that
just
he has
playing
that
this
he
video.
wants to perhaps tell the state or the prison for favorable treatment. Certainly that's, that was something that he could consider. But again, he might want to be waiting to see what he gets here for a sentence and then determining if it's in his best interest to reveal her whereabouts.
We touched on this a little bit, and I want to return to it because this could be really emotional testimony today. We're hearing from Harmony's mother, her foster family, and more. How important are these victim impact statements?
Victim impact statements can be incredibly important for a judge to hear just exactly how a crime has impacted either the victim or the victim's family. Certainly here, Harmony cannot speak for herself, so her family will be speaking on her behalf. So yes, it is very important for judges to hear, just exactly how crimes impact victims. And in this case, of course, the whole community was impacted because of the publicity surrounding her disappearance.
Certainly. Now, once the sentence is announced, is this case done? Do we expect appeals? You mentioned more trials.
Right. So he does have a couple more trials scheduled, but for this particular case, after he's sentenced, he has the option to appeal his actual sentence to, usually it's a panel of 3 Superior Court judges who would review. It's called sentence review. And also, of course, there are appeals to the Supreme Court. There were a number of motions filed, motions to suppress various pieces of evidence, statements, etc. So anything that was ruled against him, he could bring up possibly on appeal to the Supreme Court to say this was a legal error made on the part of the judge.
Patricia LaFrance, former prosecutor, thank you so much for your insight today.
And if you're just joining us, we've just kind of been going over things a little bit, but Adam is there. He has been ordered to attend court there today. So he is there. We just saw Crystal Sorey, Harmony's birth mother, outside of the courthouse with a Manchester police chief, giving her a hug. And I expect that they will get started here any minute, I hope, unless they're late. Also, if you guys are following the other case that I'm covering, Veronica Butler and Jillian Kelly, Tara and I will be live this evening to go over the latest documents in that. And then we do want to introduce a new case and reintroduce a cold case. So, or one that I would consider a cold case. So please join us. That'll be at 6:00 this evening, Central Time. So we'd love to have you guys come over and join us for that. There's not a whole lot new in the Veronica Butler and Jillian Kelly case, but there are some new documents that we have that we'd like to share. And so far, we still do not have anything. So the new cases, real quick, I can let you guys know. One of them is, let me pull that up real quick. One of them is out of Kansas. So that one is out of Great Bend, Kansas. And that is for, trying to pull up the article real quick. But that is for Crystal DeMoss and her 1-year-old son, Leland Epp. The two were reported missing Sunday. The news report says that it's believed the last time they were seen was on January 14th, 2024. Pretty certain that she has talked to her mother within the last 5 days. So we're not real sure what's going on with that case. But we're going to touch on it and go over it with what information there is available, just because it is in Great Bend, Kansas, not far from me, and certainly very close to where Tara is at. And then the other one is the one I would consider a cold case, and that is on Chance Engelbert. So I don't know if you guys have heard of his case, but he actually went missing. It's been quite a while. Over 4 years ago. Yeah, Engelbert was 25. He disappeared during a 4th of July weekend during a trip to Nebraska with his wife and infant son to visit her family. He had gone golfing with his father-in-law and other family members, and then there was an argument over a new job that he had recently taken after being laid off, and they said that he basically went for a walk after getting upset. He was spotted on surveillance camera walking alone, and that's the last they ever heard of him. A severe thunderstorm came through the region about the same time. There was multiple searches for him. His grandmother put out a huge $200,000 his grandmother contributed $200,000 to his reward fund last year in honor of his 29th birthday. So, anyway, that's the other case we're going to go over, and that is Chance Engelbert. So, we'll be doing that at 6 o'clock this evening. I agree. He's not going to like not being in control. He's not going to like having to listen without responding. So, this should be very interesting. I'm just glad that he was forced to have to show up. I think it was pretty crappy that he wasn't made to come, during the trial, especially after his last sentencing hearing, when his last words were he was anxious to clear his name in the murder of his own child. And then he never showed up for court. Loser, loser. Let me see if I can find that for you guys real quick while we're waiting on them. Give me just a minute. Let's try to pull that up. Well, I was hoping to find that for you guys where he was found. Hold on just a moment. I got to plug my computer in real quick. Give me just one moment. All right, we're good. My laptop won't die on us. That wouldn't be cool. I look forward to refuting these claims, blah, blah. Yeah, that's what he said. I was trying to find that video real quick for us while we're waiting on them, but I don't know that I'm going to be able to find it that quickly. Interesting, though. This does talk about, I think that the parents of Harmony's brother. This is what Vinny was talking about, but it does look like they are now going to be able to do a victim impact statement on behalf of him.
Killing of his daughter Harmony.
Now, we are expecting victim impact statements, but as WBZ's Beth Romano tells us, not everyone affected by Harmony's death will be allowed to speak.
His voice was silenced for so long. Harmony's voice was silenced.
The adoptive father of Harmony Montgomery's 7-year-old brother Jameson, speaking out the day before Adam Montgomery is sentenced for the little girl's murder. Outraged, a judge is limiting victim impact statements from him and his husband Blair Miller about the boy's trauma.
They're saying that we cannot speak on Jameson's behalf. It has to be his exact words related to the murder.
And the murder and its brutality is something Jonathan Miller says Jameson has yet to comprehend. His understanding of why she's gone is much different.
Is she in heaven? Is she safe? What happened to
Aw.
her glasses?
But according to the New
Oh.
Hampshire Attorney General, the court allows victims to designate a representative
He's asked what happened to her glasses. That's so oh gosh.
to write or speak on a victim's behalf, but it must be a reflection of the victim's words or other expressions of their feelings, meaning Jameson's dads can't speak on his behalf.
The fact that New Hampshire court wants Jameson to speak or write a statement about his sister's brutal murder only continues to victimize and traumatize him.
Retired Massachusetts Judge Carol Erskine believes it's a ruling without precedent.
This is, a narrative where it seems like the person who murdered Harmony has more rights in terms of what's being said at a victim impact statement than the actual victims.
According to Jonathan Miller, the judge will rule only before Thursday's sentencing whether he and his husband will be allowed to give victim impact statements and the impact on Jameson. And he knows what he wants to convey.
It's important that Adam, that monster, hears what he's done to Jameson and the void that he has left in Jameson's heart.
Harmony, it's me, your brother. I hope I see you soon.
As Montgomery listens to the pain he's caused to so many. Beth Germano, WBZ News.
Oh, bless his little heart. So yeah, Jameson does remember Harmony, and his adoptive fathers have spoken. They've been, really wonderful. They've talked and discussed this very openly and freely on Twitter mostly. But yes, so heartbreaking. And another victim, just another victim of it. So they still have not started any court. Does he remember which day, little Irish? Because he wasn't with her at the time. He had already been adopted when all of this happened with Harmony, but he was in foster care with her. Yeah, so he was the younger one. So they still don't have anything going on.
Probably see a lot of tears and just a lot of grief expressed to the court.
An emotional day is expected in a Manchester courtroom on Thursday when Adam Montgomery is sentenced for killing his 5-year-old daughter Harmony back in 2019.
The court can see how this crime has impacted the victims and obviously the victim's family.
Prosecutors are asking for a sentence of 56 years to life in prison after Montgomery was found guilty in February of second-degree murder and other charges. He's already serving up to 60 years in an unrelated weapons case.
If the state gets its request, then he's looking at probably the rest of his life in prison.
Montgomery will have to appear in person after skipping most of the trial.
I assume the defense will try to emphasize the fact that, well, he admitted to abuse of the corpse. He admitted to the falsifying evidence, and he feels remorse.
Prosecutors argue Montgomery, quote, robbed Harmony and her family of the person she was going to become.
He does not feel any remorse. Look at that guy. If he felt any remorse whatsoever, he would have said where her remains were years ago. He would have shown up for the trial to, defend and protect his daughter. He didn't do any of that. He was a coward. He still is.
The years that they suffered not knowing what had happened to Harmony.
Legal experts say while it's unlikely, it's not out of the question that Montgomery could reveal if he knows where her body is.
The number one thing you could do to demonstrate that you have remorse is by revealing the location of her body.
Now, the defense documents have yet to be filed. And again, that sentencing is 1 p.m. on Thursday. We'll have live coverage here on air and online as well. Live in the studio, Ariel Metropolis, WMUR News 9.
Wow. So this is going to be getting started here real quick. So a couple new updates. 1:06 p.m. their time. The public is seated. Crystal and her other family members are in the gallery as well. At the moment, there is no judge, attorneys, or Adam in the courtroom. 1:09 p.m. Attorneys are walking in now. So we're just still waiting. That'd be interesting if he is, Angel. He's there though, because they did put a because they did say that he was there earlier. Let's see. So at 10:39 a.m. Their time, it said News 9 Investigates has learned that Adam has arrived at the courthouse ahead of the sentencing hearing scheduled for 1 p.m. Until now, it was unclear whether he would show up for the hearing after he declined to appear for most of his murder trial. The judge later ordered him to appear for the sentencing, so he does have to go. Here's another one with her little brother. Oops.
Harmony, it's me, your brother. I hope I see you soon.
This young boy still grappling with the reality that his older sister won't be coming home. Harmony Montgomery was brutally beaten to death by her father, Adam, before he destroyed and dumped her body that's yet to be found. Before Adam gained full custody of her, Harmony was in the foster care system with her half-brother, Jameson.
He very much is a victim. His sister and him were the only two stable things in each other's lives prior to Jameson being adopted.
Jameson was adopted by Blair and Jonathan
I hope
Bobbitt
so
Miller.
too,
They were
Angel.
planning on reading a victim impact statement on their 7-year-old's behalf at Montgomery's sentencing tomorrow.
It's important that Adam hears the void that's been left in Jameson's heart. It's important that Adam hears the questions Jameson has.
But the New Hampshire Attorney General now saying Jameson himself would either need to speak in court, pre-record audio that's played, or draft his own impact statement to be read aloud.
As adults, we can't process those gruesome.
Like, what in the world? The judge expects this little boy to write a victim impact statement? How dumb can somebody be? That's crazy. Is it up now, Angel? All right, let me check again.
Details. How do they expect a 7-year-old to do that?
Jameson's father says they haven't explained these horrific details about what happened to his sister, and it's ridiculous to expect the boy in this video to be able to articulate that impact at such a young age. They're hoping the judge will allow them to speak.
Her hope is that we can speak on his behalf and that we can be his voice.
Now, ultimately, it will be up to the judge whether or not he allows the Bobbitt Miller family to read that pre-prepared statement. in court tomorrow. One thing that you will be certain not to see, that 7-year-old speaking in court. We're live in Boston. I'm Peter Leopoulos, WCVB News Center 5.
So it does look like they are getting started. Let me switch over to that for you guys.
Morning, Your Honor. Benegati for the state. Caroline Smith.
Caroline Smith with the Public Defender.
All right.
All right.
Here we
good
go.
morning. One moment, please.
Like I said, protect you guys' own mental
start
health.
this proceeding, some of it's just procedural at this point. There will be kind of pauses in this as they control the microphones there in the courtroom and not us here back at the station. But we should point out that the state is requesting here 56 years to life in prison, Jen, for Adam Montgomery for the death of his daughter, Harmony.
And we are getting our first look at Adam Montgomery in some time, Steve. As you may recall, he did appear in court on the very first day of jury selection, and then we did not see him over the course of his trial that resulted in this conviction that we are here today for the sentencing of. But the judge in this case, Amy Messner, did mandate that Adam Montgomery appear today for this sentencing, and you can see him there sitting in Hillsborough North Superior Court in Manchester doing just that. The prosecutors here, Benegati and Christopher Knowles, will be at their table. The defense counsel here, Caroline Smith, will be at hers. This hearing could take some time. It could last a couple of hours, in which we will hear from the prosecution, expecting to take about an hour or so to present their sentencing recommendation. Again, as Steve, you mentioned, 56 years to life. In fact, they could put a witness on the stand. The defense will then have its opportunity to present a sentencing recommendation of its own. And then, Steve, the victim impact statement should begin after that.
Yeah, we're expecting to hear from Crystal Sorey, Harmony's biological mother, perhaps Harmony's aunt as well. We heard yesterday from the adoptive dads of Harmony's brother, Jameson Miller, 7 years old. They want to put a statement out for him during this proceeding. We'll see how that plays out as well. And we are expecting to hear from prosecutors after all of this is done.
Boy, if that judge doesn't allow...
We did get a glimpse into what prosecutors are thinking here in their sentencing memorandum that was submitted to the court before this happened. Interestingly,
if that judge doesn't allow her brother's adopted parents to speak on his behalf for a victim impact statement, that judge is going to catch so much slack. That's just so wrong. To me, it's just so wrong. He has every right. He's a victim as well.
Innocent 5-year-old girl at the hands of her biological father, Adam Montgomery, a defendant with extensive criminal history for his age, the age of 34. And many earlier sentences did not deter any future criminal behavior. They said the sentences failed, leaving the court little hope of rehabilitation. They say the court is left with few sentencing goals it can accomplish simply beyond deterrent and of punishment, Jen.
And joining us here in our studio as the sentencing begins is Jesse O'Neill, former New Hampshire prosecutor, legal analyst. Jesse, thank you for being here with us today. This is a date that this is a court situation that has been years in the making. As you know, you had your hands on this case when you still worked for the New Hampshire prosecutor. Way back when, Jesse, this goes back to 2019 when reports first began to surface that this little girl had not been seen for some time.
He makes me ill.
As we wait now for things to get underway and the complexities of this case, I'm interested in your early thoughts, having watched where we were with this case to where we are today.
So in terms of my early thoughts, the first thing that comes to mind is that this is a position that nobody ever wanted to be in. I think everybody would agree that we would much rather have a live and well Harmony Montgomery here today. She would be turning 10 years old next month. And I think that's what everybody wants. But since this did take a criminal turn, since Adam did murder his daughter Harmony, we've come to a point where now justice will be served and where the families will be able to finally confront Adam with the impact that Harmony's murder has had on them, as they've been through this long process and have not yet had that opportunity to confront him.
And now, Jesse, I've been going through the sentencing memorandum here from the state. They point out, in their view, that there has been no remorse when it comes to Adam Montgomery and this crime and crimes that a jury of his peers have convicted him of. How does that play into what the state wants to see when it comes to this And obviously the ultimate goal would be to, at this point, find the body of Harmony. Do you see any chance there of the state trying to leverage anything to finally get Adam Montgomery to reveal the location if in fact he knows it?
I think everybody wants to see remorse when somebody has committed a crime. And here, even though Adam maintains his innocence, 12 jurors convicted him beyond a reasonable doubt, and he himself conceded to some of the charges, including the falsifying physical evidence and the abuse of a corpse. So I think everybody wants to see some remorse, and it's disheartening that he has not expressed that remorse. I do think everybody wants to recover Harmony's body. I don't know, when I say everybody, though, if that includes Adam himself, and I'm not sure if that's something he would ever reveal.
Sure you're ready for the state to proceed.
Yes.
Okay.
Jesse, let's listen in.
Ready, Attorney Gotti, you may proceed.
Thank you.
He just looks evil. I will say one thing. His attorney did a great job at trying to defend the monster.
Guilty of beating Harmony Montgomery in July of 2019, guilty of murdering Harmony Montgomery, a child under the age of 13, and then transporting and hiding and abusing her body and compacting her into smaller and smaller bags and ultimately disposing of her on March of 2020, and tampering with witnesses afterwards to ensure that this horror story that we heard at trial stayed silent. Under our law, after the second-degree assault, after what he did to her and the other crimes to hide other acts to hide his crimes, under our law in New Hampshire, that means that the mandatory minimum sentence that the defendant must receive for second-degree murder of a child under 13 is at least 35 years in prison. So the question for us today isn't why the defendant should get the minimum mandatory sentence. The question is, how can the minimum sentence ever apply to the crimes that were committed by this man? How can the minimum ever apply when he beat Harmony the night before and the morning of, and time again as he drove from the methadone clinic to Burger King and he beat her to death and then covered her up to suffer and die in the car while he ate his food? The state's position is, how can the minimum ever apply when this court recognized at the last sentencing hearing that he had 15 years of convictions for, quote, some of the most violent and egregious criminal behavior, end quote, that this court had ever seen? How can the minimum ever apply when he's lied over and over again that he didn't kill his daughter and that she was safe somewhere when he was first asked by many different people? How can the minimums ever apply when he conceded at trial the crimes that involved the horrors that he inflicted upon her body from December 7th on forward up and until March, when he dumped her from the U-Haul that he had conned others into renting for him? How can the minimum ever apply when he's had opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to tell investigators and others where she is right now, and she can't be laid to rest?
I truly
There's
don't think he
nothing
knows where she
minimal about the
I
crimes that
think
he's
she's
being
spread
convicted
out
for
or
today.
something. I don't know.
The state is not going to restate everything that's put forth in the state's sentencing memorandum word for word. The state's recommendation at this time is that the defendant serve 4 to 8 years, stand committed for the crime of second-degree assault, which occurred in July of 2019, and that should then be followed by consecutive sentences of 3.5 to 7 years for his falsifying physical evidence, for what he did to Harmony's body, with a concurrent sentence of 12 months for the abuse of corpse misdemeanor, followed by another consecutive 3.5 to 7 years for witness tampering, for beating his spouse to ensure that she would stick to the story he created, followed by not less than a minimum of 45 years to life from the charge of second-degree murder. The state recognizes that this is just a recommendation. The decision today lies with the court, regardless of what the state says. But that's the state's recommendation today. However, Your Honor, if the defendant will right now tell us where he hid her body, sufficient for us to find her, if he'll tell us right now where he put that CMC bag, so that her family and the Manchester Police Department can recover her remains in the next 7 days, then the state would amend its recommendation to a minimum of 35 years to life.
Oh, wow.
And let the second-degree assault, falsifying physical evidence, abuse of a course, and witness tampering sentences be served concurrent
So
But
they
right
will
now,
allow a
Your Honor,
reduced sentence if he'll
if
tell
he
them where
tells us
she's
where
at
we can recover her and we do so within the next 7 days,
within
we will
7
change our
days.
recommendation to 35 years.
You better speak up now. You got 7 days, buddy. Do it right now.
Since that offer has been rejected, Your Honor,
Oh, wow.
that is yet another reason why the minimum should not apply.
Jeez.
What I just said was not a stunt. It was not a theatrical event.
So
I
he still
stated
refused to do it.
in closing arguments that there are moments in life where we are tested, where our failure or our success lies in whether we do the right thing at that moment in time. And time again, and about 30 seconds ago, the defendant chose again to be heartless and immoral and selfish and unapologetic, which for the purposes of you deciding his punishment and rehabilitation
I'm
and his
guessing that's her
deterrence
mom.
and coming up with the right sentence for him means that he has just yet shown you again in this courtroom, and for anybody else, that he is heartless, immoral, selfish, and an unapologetic murderer of his own child.
No way I could keep seated. I couldn't have gone to this hearing.
Now, I was saying again, there's certainly nothing minimal about what he did to Kayla Montgomery, to abusing her into lying for him. There's simply nothing minimal about what the defendant did to Harmony and what he did afterwards. And that's why now, having just given an opportunity, we're asking you to impose nothing less than 45 to life for the sentence of homicide. You should impose more, but 45 is a bare minimum that this defendant deserves for what he did to Harmony. She is gone forever. She didn't get sick and get old and pass away. Something didn't just happen that night. He happened. She wasn't able to be surrounded by the people that loved her. And instead, when this court determines punishment, deterrence, and rehabilitation, it should consider that Harmony died in pain and in fear under a blanket. And nobody deserves that, especially a 5-year-old child. And that kind of death is different and weighs in favor of more than the minimum sentence here. You can, if there was a thief here, you could order the return of stolen property, or you could order restitution. When you sentence a defendant for an assault case, the victim can receive treatment and compensation for her injuries. But in a murder case, there's nothing directly that this court can do for Harmony. She's already ultimately paid the price of the defendant's anger and cruelty and frustration. But what can be done is recognize the value of her life and the terrible way she died by giving the defendant a significant prison sentence, something more than just the minimum, and certainly not the sentence that the defendant may ask you for in a few moments.
Boy,
You
isn't
can
that
make
the
sure
truth,
that
little
he's not
Irish.
going to hurt another child.
Talk about
do
deal
that
of the century. That's exactly what
And in
Kayla
that
got.
process, you'll also be doing justice for the people who cared about Harmony, for the many people that worked hard to hold her killer accountable. So most of those people, several of them, are in the courtroom today. Many more are out there. Some who are present here today would like a chance to address the court, Your Honor. Most
Kayla had
notably,
so
I
many
think
opportunities
has
she
to
could
be
have come
first and foremost,
forward.
Your Honor, is Harmony's biological mother, Crystal Sorey. She's present here today. She has prepared a victim impact statement that we have written that we can provide to the court afterwards, but we would like her to be able to speak to you and present her thoughts.
Should we do so?
This will be rough to listen to. I think all the victim impact statements are going to be difficult. So keep that in mind.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for being here.
To the monster who murdered my baby. I did not kill my daughter, and I look forward to trial to refute those offensive claims. That is all you have said about my sweet daughter's life. Another lie, like all the other ones you've told. Like the cover story you told that you dropped her off with me, knowing full well and good if you had, she would be thriving right now. not beaten and stuffed in a CMC bag where you put her. She had a life worth living, unlike your own. And it bothered you to your core that she was nothing like you and everything like me. Beautiful inside and out, funny, smart, sassy, loving, and most of all, kind. She wasn't a coward like you, and I'll be forever grateful for that. You're a coward who has to be in control of everything and everyone around you, insecure and paranoid. The list goes on. She is none of those things. She lit up a room when she walked in. She made a mark wherever she went, and you couldn't stand it. She was an incredible big sister. She loved her brother, Jameson, to her core, and I know she loved your sons too, no matter the picture you tried to paint of her. December 7th will forever be the darkest day of my life. The night you beat her to death, I woke up in the middle of the night in agonizing pain, from my head to my toes, and I felt like I was dying, not knowing, in the most brutal way, a part of me was dying.
Oh, goodness.
Suffering in that back seat for 20 minutes while you and your wife fed yourselves and your other children, and you got high. 20 minutes that you could have used to save her life. Did she cry for me? Did she scream? Did she beg you to stop? I'll never know. Because like I said, you're too much of a coward to tell the truth and do one good thing for Harmony. You may have taken her physically from me, but she is always, always with me. And I will forever look for her until the end of my days. But I hope that every day and every night you're on this earth, you hear nothing but my baby's giggle. I doubt you ever heard it in this life. All she knew with you was misery and fear. I hope you hear her sweet voice telling you to stop hitting her over and over, or how she looked the very last time you saw her, broken and bruised. You were supposed to protect her, yet you did the opposite. Harmony wasn't anything to you but property that you could throw away when she was more of a burden to you than a meal ticket. Your hatred for me led you to act on your monstrous, controlling ways, and you took her because you just could not let her come home where she belongs. My love for Harmony outweighs my hatred for you, but they both gave me the strength to listen to my instincts and to help the police put you away forever. Harmony will live on through me, and you can't do anything about it. You can't do anything to stop it. I wish you nothing but pain and misery for the rest of your pathetic life, and with or without you, we will find my daughter. I always knew you weren't a good person, which is why I left you. I just never knew to what extent, but now I know you're just plain evil.
She held herself together very well. But I think he should be made to look at them in the face. Not. He should have to see their faces.
Family was Miss Brittany Sorey, her aunt. She would also like to address the board.
Yeah, so if you're just joining, they gave him the option of a reduced sentence if you would tell where Harmony is, and he
To the
didn't do it.
most vile human on the planet. The day Harmony was born is the day that will forever feel like it was just yesterday. My sister was in labor and you were in prison. Always keeping you posted. I remember that phone call with you right after she was born, and they were both in the recovery room. I was talking you down from how scared you were because you just wanted to be the best dad. And I believed in you and reminded you how good you were with my daughter, that you would be the best dad and not to worry. I couldn't even believe how wrong I actually was. You are a monster, Adam, not the monster who's in your nightmares or the ones that terrify you when you're little. You're the monster that pretends to be a daddy and then brutally abused, tortured, and beat your 5-year-old daughter to death for the accidents you caused by locking her in a room 24/7, traumatizing her and making it blatantly clear that she could not trust, count on, or come to you when she needed someone. You didn't fight for her for 4 years like you had Kayla claim on your behalf. You lied and you forged documents. You did it to have control again over something in my sister's life. You never for 1 second loved Harmony, because if you did, she'd still be here today. You wanted to control her, and when you couldn't, over and over again, because she reminded you of my sister, you took her from us because you didn't want anyone else to have her. More proof of the absolute coward you are. The fact that you sat in court at your gun trial, like my sister said, and tried to use Harmony for some sympathy by saying you cannot wait to refute the offensive claims that you killed your daughter and you didn't and you loved her. Jury selection day, you showed up smiling at the jurors, proving exactly how evil you are. Then tell the judge the day of opening statements that you did all but kill her and expect a bunch of people to believe yet another lie from you. Because your egotistical ignorance makes you believe you are somehow smarter than anybody. You have the nerve to claim to be a victim of the disease of addiction and how it destroyed your life and all the crybaby stories you tell. The fact is this: you are a selfish, evil, conniving, poor excuse for a human being, and I hope you sit in prison every day while she haunts you day and night until it's unbearable, because that's what you deserve. I used to call you my brother. We used to talk about everything. I've seen you break down and cry and open your heart up to me. Even when you first got Harmony, I messaged you and I told you that I would help in any way if I can, if you needed it for Harmony and wanted to be a part of her life. And just like anyone else that reached out, you blocked me. You had so many chances to change the result and let her go with people that loved her, but you didn't, because you knew she would have told all about the abuse, so you killed her. If you're any type of man at all, Adam, or you ever loved her for 1 second, you would tell us where she is, so at least she can rest in peace after everything you put her mind, body, and soul through. Regardless, karma will get even, because you don't destroy such a beautiful soul the way you did and not reap what you sow. So may it be.
One of the other individuals in this particular event who is not present here in the courtroom today, but is the victim of the crime, that is the victim of the crime of witness tampering, is Ms. Kayla Montgomery. She has prepared a statement. We have submitted there. We will be submitting that to the court as well.
Oh, wow.
It's been provided to the defense counsel. She has asked a victim advocate to please read the statement for her.
Well, good for Kayla
If the
then.
victim advocate could please state her name for the record, and also the Kayla Montgomery's statement.
I wonder why she didn't just show up herself, though.
My name is Amy Van Auken, and I'm reading a statement on behalf of Kayla Montgomery. Goodbye. I wanted to write a letter to you because it's the only way to tell you how I feel. I don't know about you, but I need some kind of closure. I will forever have a place in my heart for you, whether you believe me or not. You were my best friend, my husband, the person I chose to spend the rest of my life with. You are the father of our children we have together, and I'm forever grateful for having them. I will never forget the birth of our first son we have. That was one of the many best days of my life. We had just gotten married and started a family of our own. I'll never forget when your grandmother said to me, "You're the best thing that has ever happened to my grandson." I'll always remember the births of all the children we have. Also, when you stepped up to be a father to Harmony. You worked so hard to get custody of her, and it took a few years, but you got her. I won't forget the day we picked her up and brought her home. We were so excited. Then, during the summer, was when we both started to go downhill because of relapse. After 5 years of sobriety, that was the beginning of the chaos. By the time Thanksgiving came around in the year 2019, we were losing everything. My job, our place to live, and after living in a car for a few weeks, we lost that. At the same time, Harmony dies because of your anger and hitting her so many times. We didn't even know she passed away until the car died, and we had to take our kids out of the car. She didn't respond. She was lifeless. Then a couple years go by, and during those years, we had to keep quiet about her being gone. You told me to stick with the story that you dropped her off at 6 a.m. at Dunkin's, where I no longer worked at, and brought her to her mother, Crystal, so she could stay there because it was better for Harmony. Then you came and picked me up when my shift was done at 2 p.m. She wasn't in the car. She was with her mother. During those years of having to keep quiet, you started physically and mentally abusing me, accusing me of cheating on you, telling on you, and trying to kill you. The first time that you really hurt me was when you accused me of cheating and had me on the living room floor against the corner of the wall telling me if I didn't tell you that I cheated on you, that you were going to F me up. When I never cheated on you and said that I didn't, you punched me right in the face a couple of times because you said I was lying, and I wasn't. So then I said, yes, I cheated on you so you wouldn't hit me, but you still did anyway. You started getting crazy when we would get high on crack. I told you I did things that I really didn't do because you said if I told you that I did whatever you'd accuse me of, that you wouldn't hit me, and I was dumb enough to believe you. No matter what I said or did, you would hit me, punch me, spit in my face, or would have me in a chokehold and cover my mouth so I couldn't scream. You are not the person I married, not the person who loved me and who never hurt me. It's like I married my father. I never would have thought I would have to run away from you until I knew I had to take our kids and leave you. I'll never forget that day either. It was one of the hardest things for me to do. The last couple of nights after you got arrested the first time, I was sleeping with a knife because I did not know what you were going to do to me. After I found out that you got arrested, I went back to our apartment to grab a few things, and then I made the decision of not going back to live there anymore. I couldn't stay in the apartment after a year of chaos with you in there. Just all bad memories, barely any good ones. We had about 5 months total that year of living there that were good times. Other than that, nothing but bad memories. I'm so angry and hurt by you. I know you probably hate me because I had to do the right thing, but also because of all the bad. Not only did you lose your rights to our children, but so did I. Now I'm going to have to keep fighting for them to at least be back in their lives. You seem to forget you cheated, not me, and you just left the kids and I for some girl, packed your stuff, and left to another state. I called you out on your BS when you were on your way to Maine, and I also called you out for being with someone else months before you left to Maine. You accused me, but you were the one cheating. The day you got arrested on January 2022, you called me and said to tell Kelsey you're sorry about her car. Yeah, right. That's all you're worried about, not your wife and children you may never see again. No apology for cheating on me and making me think I was crazy. So I got to do all I can to get back on track with my life. You caused so much hurt and pain. I don't even know why I still care about you and actually feel bad for you. Oh, maybe it's because I'm not a cold, heartless person and still have some care about you. I was in love with you once. Now I still love you because you're the father of our children. This is goodbye for now. Maybe I'll see you at the future in some point. Goodbye, Adam.
Absolutely.
And then she lists the day they started their relationship was October 8th, 2015. And the day they married was Harmony's birthday, June 4th, 2017.
Typical Kayla fashion. Me. I.
Heard from yet is with regards to a very young man. This is Harmony's younger brother, Jameson.
Disgusting.
He lived with Harmony up until the age of 1, saw her as late as 18 months in his life. Both of his parents are here, Mr. Blair Miller and also Mr. Jonathan Bobbitt Miller, and they have a statement they would like to present.
Well, I'm glad they're going to let them actually speak, since just as of yesterday, the judge was not wanting them to be able to speak.
Your Honor, thank you so much for allowing us to
Harmony's
speak
little
here
brother
today.
should be able
Good
to write
afternoon
his
to you.
own
My name is
statement
Blair
at
Miller,
7.
and my husband Jonathan and I are here today on behalf of our son Jameson, who we adopted in 2019. He is a 7-year-old boy who came to us from foster care. Jameson and his sister Harmony were in and out of different foster homes together. They seem to be on a path of surviving their troubling relationships, their circumstances together. To understand the true impact that this loss has had on Jameson and will continue to impact him, you need to hear the stories he tells us and wants you to know. He wants everyone to know. When we first adopted Jameson, he would always tell us about Harmony. He would tell us about her beautiful blonde hair. He would tell us about her glasses. He still does. He would tell us about her bright blue eyes. He would tell us about her wonderful smile that lit up a room. He would tell us that she was there to help him. Jameson has constantly asked us, where's Harmony? Recently, he once was struggling to go to bed. He looked off in the shadows of his closet and said, is that Harmony there, looking back at me? These are no questions for a little boy to be asking. He no longer can hold on to that hope. Since learning about the death of innocent and beautiful Harmony, Jameson has suffered. Just a few weeks ago in school, his teacher asked him to draw a picture of his family. He drew a picture of his 2 dogs, his 2 brothers, his 2 dads, but then he put a heart above all of us, and inside that heart was the letter H.
Oh, bless it.
He said that was Harmony looking down on us.
Mm.
Jameson constantly asks us, who took my sister away? Adam, you took away his best friend, his sister. You introduced murder into his life and forever created a void that can never be filled. We will never have the right answers for him on this and can only tell him Harmony is an angel now. Jameson will grow up forever wondering how this happened, how his sister, who looked over him in foster care, didn't have anyone looking over her. You chose, Adam, to take our little boy's sister away. You don't ever deserve another choice in a free society. Your Honor, we are asking you to impose the maximum sentence.
Your Honor, this courtroom, and especially Adam, I'm Jonathan Bobbitt Miller, and I'm the proud adopted dad of Jameson Miller, the proud young brother of Harmony. Harmony is the reason that we're all here today. Harmony, the child Adam that you murdered, you introduced a nightmare into our son. You introduced evil of this world to him. You have manipulated the criminal justice system until now, and trying to explain that to our 7-year-old son is hard. Before Jameson knew of Harmony's tragic fate, he would go to the door when the doorbell rung, and he would say, maybe she's found me. He would search a park, he would look at school, and if there was any girl that had blonde hair and glasses, he would go up to them and say, are you Harmony?
He was still looking for his sister.
I'll never forget the day that we told Jameson that Harmony was in heaven. He's a very active kid. And that day, he just stopped and he held us and he said, no, I need my big sister. Why? Why did this happen? These are questions that Jameson has had and continues to ask. Daddy and Dada, what happened to my sister? Why did she die? Why would anyone hurt her? How about her glasses? Were they okay? My God, how will we ever help him process this horrible and brutal details of his big sister? Adam, you have to know you did that. As we celebrated Jameson's birthday in 2019 with the Mickey and Minnie Mouse theme, we had Mickey Mouse there. It's a Disney theme that he shares with his big sister and his mom. He wanted to save a gift from her that day, made from his Nana. It was a Minnie Mouse pillow, but instead, you were beating her to death. That was the same day. If Jameson was old enough to speak to this court today, he would want you to know the void that you left in his heart that can never be filled. Adam, he would plead with you to please tell us where she is. Let him have a place to go and remember his sister, please. He remembers her feeding him. He remembers when they would be at his foster home when she was there, that they would play in the park together. He remembers her glasses. He remembers how proud she was. How do we tell our 7-year-old that you murdered his sister, his protector, his best friend, and you showed no remorse? I wish they could be happy together today. Jameson asked, is she unhappy in heaven? If she can see him, and if we can visit her, why would anyone hurt her? That's what you've done to her son when you beat his sister to death. In her family, we really believe in love and forgiveness. I'm just not sure how to teach her son how to forgive the monster that murdered his sister. We as a family are leaning on God for that. Jameson also knows about the helpers. He knows about this court. He knows about the jury. He knows about the police from the local to federal. He knows about this community. We've told him these were the people that helped his sister when she was hurting. I'd like to share with you a few words that Jameson, as we were talking to him, because he wanted to know, where are you guys going? What are you doing? And I said, we're going to speak for your sister, and we're going to tell everyone how important she was to you. And this is what he said. Tell everyone my name is Jameson. I'm 7 years old. My sister's Harmony. I love Harmony. I miss her. I hope I get to see her again. My sister had beautiful blue eyes, and we smile alike. I liked having fun with her on the playground. She gave me a broken Elmo toy that was hers. I still have that, but I have the Minnie Mouse pillow and a new Elmo that's not broken. I keep it in my closet for her. I'm really sad she's an angel. I miss her. She was my best friend. I hope she can see me playing basketball, being silly with my brothers. And I wish I could bring Harmony to my school to meet my friends and my teacher.
Yes, adoptive dad.
She loves the color purple and Minnie Mouse. I made a heart for her in purple and red with mirrors so I can look for her in heaven. I hope she sees me. The red is for my heart and the purple is for her. I love my sister. I miss her. I hope she's eating M&Ms in heaven. I hope her glasses are safe and not broken.
He's so worried about
And I
her
miss
glasses.
you, and I will always love you, big sister. Thank you, Your Honor.
Oh my gosh. Oh gosh. Whew. That's rough. How can Adam just sit there like that?
With us today is Harmony's foster mother, Michelle Rafferty. Harmony was alive for 66 months in this world. And for 44 of those months, she was with the Raffertys, Michelle and her husband, Tim. They've both prepared a statement as well and would like to speak with you today.
Yeah, that was rough, huh, little Irish girl? Very rough. He loved his.
Your Honor, I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak here today. This is truly the hardest thing I have ever had to do. My name is Michelle Raftery, and along with my husband and my 5 children, we have the privilege of being Harmony's foster family. We shared our hearts, our home, and our life with her, and she filled our lives with joy and laughter. We lost a daughter, and my children lost their sister. We grieve for her every day because we thought we'd always see her again. Harmony was full of life and always happy. We jokingly told her that she leaves a sparkle wherever she goes. She loved to be in the middle of everything that was going on, and she never missed a beat. Harmony always had 2 mummies, me and Crystal, but only had one daddy, and that was my husband, Tim. I am beyond grateful Harmony had the relationship with a loving daddy and knew what that relationship should look like. She loved being a sister and had an amazing bond with our youngest daughter. And when our second daughter had her baby, she was delighted to be an auntie. Harmony was a friend to everyone, but she also had a best friend named Dominic. She loved going to church and loved going to school. She loved Minnie Mouse, playing outside, playing dress up, playing house, and loved to cuddle. She had a large community that she loved, and they loved her. She was kind and compassionate and always willing to share, even her Oreo cookies and favorite doll stroller. Since everything came to light, I have had trouble sleeping and concentrating. We had to explain to our children things that we never wanted them to hear and explain to them why a father who was supposed to love and protect her was being arrested for murder. Your Honor, I'm asking you to give Adam the fullest sentence. Adam is hateful and selfish and continues to be so by not telling us where her body is. Adam knew he could have brought Harmony back to us. He had options, but always chose himself each time. He never put Harmony first. There were consequences for his actions, and he will have to live with them the rest of his life. Our family is strong and beginning to heal by the grace of God. We know Harmony is safe in the arms of Jesus, never to be hurt again. So despite the evil brought to light in this trial, we will continue to move forward in love because love wins. Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes, it does, Angel. It really does. That monster, I'd like to just slap him right upside his little cocky head. It makes me angry.
Your Honor, in addition to those statements, the state is asking you to consider not only all of the details and the facts that you heard during trial, and not only as you would for any defendant, their criminal history, of which is laid out there and which this court is already well aware of. But we are also asking the court to take into account 2 additional charges which are still pending. Firearm that was belonging and was owned by a Mr. Ewell, and also a high-point handgun. These are 2 charged but not yet adjudicated offenses that can be considered by the court when it comes to sentencing. We did not ask you to take the defendant's murder of his daughter into account at the last sentencing for the other firearms,
I feel
given
the
that it
same
had
way,
occurred
Liplock.
before her death. But these 2 not yet tried armed career criminal charges, offenses for weapons belonging to Mr. Ewell, and the high-point handgun should be considered to show that the minimum does not apply to this man. The court is already aware of the defendant's statements to many other people, many other people through many different facets of his life, with regards to being asked where his daughter was and for him to lie to them. This was subject to many different interpretations. The court has discussed this on different events, different times, in different hearings. With regards to those events, and with regards also to the gun crimes that I speak of, Mr. Ewell's firearm and the high-point handgun, we feel that the state has already shown the requisite level of certainty that the defendant has done these crimes. He's been indicted by the grand jury. We've discussed them. Parts of the evidence that support them have already been presented to the court. But we have also asked for Detective John Dunleavy to be present from the Manchester Police Department, who can provide additional information if the court so chooses to hear that. So at this point, I would leave it up to the court's discretion if and when the court should be considering those 2 charges as part of coming up with the appropriate sentence for the defendant today. But he is here in the courtroom.
All right, thank you. I don't feel that I need to hear from him at this juncture. If the court feels it necessary to hear from him, I will do so later. Thank you.
Thank you. Your Honor, one of the things that you saw during trial were the many different ways in which the defendant tried to conceal his crime, not just physically, but also with false statements and lies to others. Lies as to where she was, as to what had occurred, where it had occurred in the car, where he was at the time. Even lies, as you heard from some witnesses, as to whether or not he loved or cared for Harmony in the first place. You heard and saw the defendant try to sell his lies to anybody that would listen. And why does that matter? Because it's one thing to deny the charges that the state then and hold the state accountable to bring forth proof beyond a reasonable doubt. But it's another one to actively lie and deceive and blame others. And a defendant who does that, like this defendant did, is different and is deserving of more than the minimum punishment. You've even heard yourself how the defendant tried over and over again to get Kayla Montgomery to lie for him. The testimony we heard at trial included the verbal threats to her, beating her, photographs that we saw of her black eyes, testimony from other independent witnesses of him either hurting her or her running away, being injured, or grabbing a cell phone out of her hands and manipulating her even months later to get rid of telephones that had evidence of the crimes on them. You've seen those bruises. You've heard those stories from independent eyewitnesses. That was not just an attack on her. That was an attack on our system of justice. And to hold him accountable for that independently, consecutively, to the actual underlying crime of the homicide and the second-degree assault from before. As you've seen in this case, if we don't do that, if we don't hold people accountable for those actions afterwards, then the criminal justice system is failing because it allows defendants everywhere under the concept of general deterrence to think that they can tamper with witnesses and destroy evidence. And if they're caught, well, it'll just be subsumed by the underlying crime. That's another reason why the more than the minimum sentence is necessary. And finally, I'm not going to go into full detail on it, Your Honor, but you've seen in the state sentencing memorandum, there are 3 cases that are on point and when looking for comparison here. And those are State versus Caitlin Marin, State versus Mark Heath, and State versus Chad Evans, all cited in our sentencing memorandum. In those matters involved individuals who were convicted of reckless second-degree murder for injuring children. And all three of those individuals, either immediately after trial or at sentence review, all had sentences that were in their 40s. And all three of those people didn't have the criminal history that this defendant has. And all three of them didn't do afterwards to their victims and what they did to their bodies, what he did to Harmony. So in the state's mind, how can the defendant here get anything less for that? His behavior is worse. When we look at that, if and when he should ask for sentence review after today, if they look at that, we don't feel that there's any way that they could equate that his behavior was less than theirs or that his punishment should be less than theirs. There's nothing about this little girl's death or her suffering or what her father did afterwards that can ever be classified as minimal. He is still determined 5 years later that she have no peace, no justice, no rest. So the state is asking him to do what justice requires, and that's nothing less than the state's recommended sentence. Harmony deserves it, her family deserves it, the people of the state deserve it, and definitely this defendant deserves it. Thank you.
Thank you. Attorney Smith?
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to start reading from State versus Willie at 163 New Hampshire 532. We held that just as it is unconstitutional to increase a defendant's punishment because he refuses to admit guilt, so too is it unconstitutional for a court to draw an adverse inference of lack of remorse from a defendant's silence at sentencing. Because the only affirmative way for a defendant who maintains his innocence through the criminal process to express remorse at sentencing is to forgo his right to remain silent. Using a defendant's silence at sentencing to infer that he lacks remorse generally violates the defendant's constitutional privilege against self-incrimination. The state said that their offer to reduce or offer a reduced sentence of 35 years if Adam Montgomery took particular action within the next 7 days, and his reaction to that reflected heartless, immoral, no remorse. You can imagine, anybody can, that somebody walking into a sentencing hearing for something where he maintains his innocence that he did not do would be a difficult situation. That person would be assisted by his counsel, who would understand that being vilified for something that you didn't do would be difficult, who would understand that when people are trying to throw him away forever for something that you didn't do would be difficult, and that he would be schooled in reactions and how to react and how to appropriately respond within this courtroom. The state was doing a stunt. They were seeking a reaction today from Adam Montgomery in the courtroom by their stunt for something that they said, give us 7 days. And then Mr. Montgomery, acting appropriate with his counsel's representation, was called heartless, immoral.
A stunt.
and
No,
no
we just want to know where Harmony is, and you
Mr.
can give that
Montgomery
information.
does not have to express remorse here for something where he maintains his innocence. It would violate his constitutional rights against self-incrimination. And talk a little bit about the use of priors, as argued in the state's memorandum, to elevate what is a sentence as a mandatory minimum that is extraordinarily high. And it is high because anytime a child dies, an innocent child dies, deserves a strong punishment. And the legislature has spoken with a mandatory
No,
minimum
Misha.
of that punishment.
This is his attorney speaking now.
The lack of rehabilitation is what the priors are put on for. I don't think anybody can predict what another person would be like after 35 years of incarceration. To assume the lack of rehabilitation for prior records that occurred from the time that Mr. Montgomery was quite young,
His whole life.
that many, fueled by drug and drug addiction, that was introduced to his life by some of the very witnesses, family members, wives, who participated in maintaining his addiction and in a lot of the conduct that he did in the prior record.
So now Adam's a victim
He
as
is
well.
worthy
Okay.
of rehabilitation,
Him and Kayla.
especially after what would be the mandatory minimum under this sentence. The use of the remaining charges also are inappropriate here. You did not consider the charge of homicide at his prior sentencing on the armed career criminal charges that he faced May a year ago. But you did consider the armed career criminal charges, or at least you didn't indicate that you didn't, and the state certainly argued that they should be considered as well. All of that conduct occurred in a relatively short time period, and while we dispute the probable cause, even the law says that you can consider the grand jury indictment as probable cause, which I think is completely inappropriate, but that is the law. However, his sentences on armed career criminal took into account both his prior and his subsequent gun charges. He's serving a sentence currently of what comes to be about 32, because he got 15 as a minimum on one, 15 as a minimum on another. The 5 years of the 7-year minimum on the final charge that you sentenced him on, you suspended 2 years.
Right, little Irish.
Didn't even totally give him the max on that, but certainly increased his sentence in your evaluation of his prior conduct.
He's
as
listening
well as
intently now,
the
isn't he?
pending gun charges. Another issue I need to address, and I'm afraid we only addressed part of it in chambers, my fault. The names of the no contact order I don't have, so we don't have a position on that as far as the names. However, since the state has asked for an incarcerated sentence on each of the charges, I don't believe a no contact order can be issued on the charges under interpretation of current law. However, I will say that the names will be provided to Adam, and I can assure this court that Adam will not seek any contact with the Sorrell family. Sorry, family.
No, we can pronounce the names correctly.
So, what do you do for sentencing Adam Montgomery? Adam Montgomery does not dispute the time sought by the state for abuse of corpse and falsifying evidence. The state has requested maximum sentences on that consecutive, and Adam does understand that it in fact affected the investigation and that behavior affects justice in the court system. And he does not dispute the sentences requested by the state on that. However, while he maintains his innocence, he also knows that you will be sentencing him on the other charges because he has been convicted, and any other action he takes will have to be after sentencing. So as to the other charges, while he maintains his innocence on each of them, he can't offer a sentence because no sentence would be fair for him to say that they would be fair when he is maintaining his innocence and he did not commit those charges. So he can't offer you something that's appropriate for them, but he would request that you take into account his objections to the memorandum and especially his silence here at sentencing.
Oh, his silence has been
as being
taken
an
in,
appropriate
trust me.
position to take when he is asserting his innocence. We request that the court issue a sentence that is less than what the state has asked, and that it make the remaining charges concurrent with abuse of corpse and falsifying evidence.
Why can't
Adam
he just
Montgomery
do the
did not kill
morally
his
correct
daughter,
thing and say
but
where
when
she's
he
at?
discovered his daughter's death, he
already
broke,
charged.
and he did inexplicable things. Even he can't explain his actions. But eventually he pulled it together and he was able to say goodbye to his daughter. And that's what he did. I may have a moment, Your Honor.
Yes, you may.
Thank you, Shorty. Yeah, I mean, he's already been convicted. Why? I don't understand why he can't do the morally correct thing and just say where he put her. That's all they asked him to do. It wasn't a.
Actually,
the state wasn't using gimmicks. They offered him 7 days to tell them where Harmony is at, and they would give a reduced sentence.
co-counsel
And
has
he was
reminded
like,
me of
nope,
something, and
nothing
again,
to do
this
with
was
it.
something that was not in the sentencing memorandum, and it was last minute, and it is the stunt that was pulled by the state, and it is that plea offers, responses, negotiations are inadmissible. And I think that they are inadmissible for any purpose, including sentencing. Certainly, I know in other cases, if I was to say the state offered something pretrial and now they're seeking twice that, the state would shut me down under that rule. 410? 410. So I think that entire stunt should be stricken from the record as well.
I don't know about you guys, but it kind of makes me mad that she's
Briefly,
even
Your
calling
Honor,
it
I
a
made
stunt.
no such comment about plea offers that were made prior to trial in any way, shape, or form. When I called the defendant heartless, immoral, selfish, and unapologetic, and in doing so, it's about the two crimes that he has admitted that he has done. It's the falsifying physical evidence and it's the abuse of corpse, which he admitted and even told the jury that they could find him guilty of. Those are the ones relating to the placement of the body. There's no reason to hold on to that piece of information with regards to that. The statement is not offering anything because this completely lies within the hands of the court. The statement is to make the change of what the state's recommendation would be. It's not an offer of a guaranteed sentence in any way, shape, or form. And again, it's on those charges, the one where he does not maintain his innocence anymore, falsifying physical evidence and abuse of a corpse. I think just separately, Your Honor, with regards to the victims that the state is asking for the no contact order, that would include Crystal Sorey and her family, Sorey. That would also include the Miller family, Your Honor, and that would be Harmony's brother's family, and as well as the Rafferty family. I can provide those spellings to the court monitor afterwards. I think those are the only additional things that the state wants to add.
Attorney Gotti, what do you say to the Steve v. Toll issue that's raised by the defense about the no contact order on stand committed sentences, where all of the sentences that you're asking for in this case are stand committed, but you're also asking for the no contact provision?
Your Honor, I think with regards to that, rather than to prolong this particular hearing, the state would then also ask for a $5,000 fine on each felony for that to be suspended for the period so that the no contact order can be obeyed during that time period. And if he violates the no contact order, then that could be imposed.
Suspended for what period?
I would say suspended for a period of, well, on the 2 Class B misdemeanors, I would say suspended for at least a period of 7 years upon the beginning of that serving of that sentence. And for the charge of second-degree murder, I would say beginning on for a 20-year time period, beginning when he starts serving that sentence.
Do you want to address that, Attorney Smith? I'm just thinking about that for a moment. I mean, Attorney Agati, on that, the consequence of a violation of the order would be the imposition of the fine.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay.
For clarity in sentencing, I think 5,000 is illegal for any one of those charges, although certainly combinations of certain charges can equal that amount. I think it's 6 of one, half a dozen of another, because as I said, with regard to the family, Crystal Sorey and her family, Mr. Montgomery will not be reaching out to any of them.
All right, thank you. Counsel, approach for just a minute.
Yeah, so I think he's gonna get the max as well, but I don't like, I mean, I know it's
Discussing more procedural motions,
defense
Jen,
attorney, but
relating
still.
to no
I
contact
don't like her
orders and
calling
things
it a
like that.
stunt at
But
all.
all of that is certainly secondary to the intense, emotional victim impact statements we've just been hearing from for the better part of the last hour.
And this is our ongoing coverage of the sentencing today of Adam Montgomery related to the charges he has been convicted on in the death of his daughter, Harmony. They include second-degree murder, abuse of a corpse, and falsifying physical evidence. As Steve just mentioned, there were several victim impact statements made, as well as a presentation by both the prosecution and the defense counsel in this case, with Prosecutor Benagati saying that there's nothing minimum about this case, asking the judge to impose the maximum possible sentence here, and putting forth a request, Steve, that Adam, at that moment, let them know the location of Harmony's body, which he has never provided yet. And then the state would offer to take that into consideration moving forward. Duly noted that Adam Montgomery remained silent on that. And then Benagati going on to say that in that response itself, he remained.
Shorty, yes. And I did something at the beginning of the video of this live, and I'll do it again at the end. But yes, I too woke up to that news this morning and absolutely broke my heart. I absolutely loved Heels, and I thought the world of her. So I'm right there with you, girl.
Thank you.
All right. As folks here, okay, at 2:45 or so, we should be hearing from the judge her decision. You see folks standing here. She goes back to chambers to ponder over everything she just heard, review the memorandums that she's received from the varying sides about how long this sentence should be for Adam Montgomery. Jen, we should definitely discuss what, that took up a lot of, the prosecution's time when they were making their case. And then also you heard the defense's rebuttal about this notion that Adam should give up the location of Harmony Montgomery's body. And in exchange for that, he would get a lessened sentence suggestion from the state, which would, in theory, give him the possibility of getting out decades earlier.
Right. And in response to that mentioned by Benagati, defense counsel here, Caroline Smith, said that was unconstitutional, in fact, for the court to draw upon Adam's lack of remorse and his silence, saying that that would violate his right to self-incrimination, going on to say that he maintains his innocence.
We have Jesse O'Neill with us, a former prosecutor in the New Hampshire AG's office. So Jesse, I know, early on you were involved in this case. Let's start with this notion that right in the middle of sentencing, we heard from Benagati, the attorney there, suggesting, look, we will give you this minimum sentence if you tell us where her body is with actionable information, and we can recover that in the next 7 days. You also heard from Caroline Smith, the defense attorney there, suggesting that, number one, that's not even admissible, and number two, she called it a stunt. Curious what you think about one, that move, and two, the broader context of what she was arguing.
I disagree that it was a stunt. Look, the only person that we're aware of that knows the location of Harmony's body is Adam Montgomery. And I get that Adam is maintaining his innocence despite having been convicted by a jury of 12 of his peers. But he did concede at the trial the charges of falsifying physical evidence and abuse of a corpse, which are the charges that are directly related to the disposal of his body. So while he maintains his innocence regarding the murder of Harmony and his involvement with that, he's all but admitted that he did have a role in disposing of her body. So in terms of the defense's argument that it would be unconstitutional and require him to essentially be testifying against himself in order to reveal that information, it's information he's already conceded that he has by conceding his role in those charges.
Right? That's how I saw it
Benegati went
too.
on to make that point, saying, no, this is what he's already admitted to doing. So in essence, if he's admitted to doing this, he would know with the abuse of a corpse where that corpse ended up. Why not relay back that information? And it is not to be stricken from the record, and it is in no violation of his right to not self-incriminate. And on that too, I'm wondering your thoughts, Jesse, on now that the judge goes into chambers and takes everything under consideration, how much of what the victims supplied to her will matter when she comes back?
I think the testimony and the statements provided by the victims will have a large impact. That's the one piece of all of this that Judge Messer didn't have before today. She had the state's sentencing memorandum.
Yeah, so real quick, yes, Heels, she did follow me, Angel, probably not near as much as I followed her. I loved waking up in the mornings, especially she didn't do it quite so often anymore, but when she would, she was doing her short videos every morning. I looked forward to waking up to those and the upbeat intro and just, she just could be so funny, but she was so strong as well. And she's yeah, major part of the true crime community. Many, many friends, an amazing creator, very, very strong woman. She had been in hospice for some time. She didn't like people to know about that. She didn't discuss it. She didn't want people feeling sorry for her, nothing like that. She had COPD. My understanding, and I usually watch all her lives, she's been covering the Karen Reed trial lately. So I hadn't been really paying much attention to that because I'm, covering other things. But my understanding from watching Queen Bee is that she was doing a live yesterday, and I'm not sure what happened, but she fell. And when she fell, she, I guess, broke a hip and maybe an elbow. I'm not sure. Queen said elbow, shoulder, something like that. She's very good friends with another amazing creator as well, and she called her, and the friend said, "Have you called 911?" And she's like, "No, because, I don't know that I can get up to let them in the door." So, to me, I definitely had to kinda giggle because that's typical Heels right there. That's exactly how she was. So, they did call, she did go to the hospital, but unfortunately, and she had COPD, and unfortunately, I believe she passed around 11 o'clock last night. 35% lung capacity. So, see, I have COPD as well. I have 57% lung capacity. And I know Lisa Kay, she's also a mod here. She also has COPD. So, very, very sad situation. And we truly lost just an amazing creator in our community. And a lot of people are no doubt definitely saddened. And she's going to be dearly missed. And I told this when we started the live. We're just waiting for the judge has gone into her chambers to mull over the sentencing for Adam. So we're just kind of talking over WMUR right now. But she is a really amazing person and a very strong natured kind of woman. I remember, and I almost felt bad, but I don't feel bad because she's probably up there laughing about it too. But the very first live that she did, and Heels, she technology wasn't always her thing, and I remember her fumbling so badly with it. She gets so irritated. Just funny, just a really she's no not only is she a very strong woman, but she's also a really, really kind woman as well. And she'd been in true crime for, oh my gosh, yeah, Shorty just we're thinking on the same line, Shorty. So Heels in the Air had been covering true crime since the mid 90s. So she Always. Yeah. No, I can read your mind. But yeah, she's been in true crime for a long time, way longer than most of us here, and we're gonna miss a really good one. And not only that, but she was funny, and I loved her little videos. And her and Lisa, yes, I love watching them together. My heart goes out to Lisa as well today, and all of her other friends. Definitely, I wasn't close to her. I can't claim that. All I can say is that I deeply admire her very much. So, yeah. Right? She's got all the answers now. Hopefully, she sends us a message from above. She can connect some dots for us real quick or something. But yeah, Lisa, Crimes and Fashion. Yep, they're very good together. Very funny. She clowned Betty so hard, and JLR. Who's gonna clown JLR for us now? Oh, Lisa's hurting bad, I'm sure. Yep. Yes, definitely. I can put that in here. Let me go back, unmute them real quick, and I'll drop the link for Heels, because you've gotta watch some of her short videos. She was putting them out every morning. There for quite a long time, and only just like 3 5-minute long videos, so easy to watch. But let me grab that link and I'll put it in the chat for you real quick.
Seemed like a lesson in how to use DNA in the exemption of having a body.
I think this was a very effective use of DNA by the state. And I think the reason why it wasn't slippery or difficult for the jury to understand is because of where that DNA was found, which was above the ceiling panel in the Families in Transition shelter. And you'll remember in trial, the state brought those ceiling panels in and pointed out specifically to the jurors where that DNA had been located. But it was more than just that. It wasn't just DNA that they found. The serologist tested that that substance found on the ceiling panel was blood. So the fact that a missing girl who hadn't been seen in years, her blood and her DNA are found on the top of ceiling panels in a shelter where nobody ever saw her living made it so this was not a slippery use of DNA.
And we're going to get to our reporters in just a sec who were there at the courtroom. But Jesse, I just wanted to get your take. You were there early on. I assume there were discussions, and please correct me if I'm wrong, about plea offers early on with Adam for giving up the location. Once the sentence come out, what levers are left to try to get the information out from Adam about where this body may be?
There is a potential. Let's say Adam has a change of heart and decides he does want to reveal the location where he left her body. There's a potential that he could give that information to the state. They could recover her body, and the state and the defense together could present a recommendation, a motion to vacate the initial sentence.
Yeah, she would stand up to JLR. She stood up to Bullhorn Betty. A lot of them. She was very strong, and she did great research. Great research. Like I said, Hills was around long before most of us, and just really amazing. Definitely. Love and hug to those of you here who cared about Heels. She brought many different sections of true crime together. She brought us a ton of laughs. um, and JLR, that's Jonathan Lee Rich Investigates. Him and Heels went round and around and around for years. Let me play one of her videos real quick. So this is just let me see if I can find a funny one that she did. Well, this was her intro, and this was always amazing. So we're just still waiting. Let's see here.
We did not learn about this until the last day of 2021, and that was when Manchester police announced that they were searching for her, but at the time, she was a missing girl from the investigative perspective.
Yeah, for a long time. That's how a lot of
So
us
if you're
thought of
just
this case. Just a
joining,
few days later, Adam
judges in the
Montgomery was
chambers,
arrested on assault
she's
and child
going
endangerment
over
charges. And then
what
it was that August
sentencing
investigators
she wants
announced
to
that the
hand down
search for
to Adam
Harmony
Montgomery.
had in fact become a homicide case.
Adam was then charged with Harmony's murder in October
They
of
sure
2022.
did, every morning.
And then by the summer of 2023, he was on trial in a separate weapons case, convicted on those charges and sentenced on those.
Yeah, if you want information on what's on the screen, Deets on the Street, she actually did a very, very detailed, thoroughly researched video. I don't talk, bad on other creators or anything, but Deets did put a great video together on him. Heels was intelligent, interesting, beautiful, and hilarious. I couldn't have said that better, Lip Lock. Yep. Yeah, it makes me wanna do better, Like, I mean, it's just so upbeat, and I just loved it, and like I said, we're so many of us. I don't think that, Heels knows. She knows now how many are dearly, dearly going to miss her. So anyway, we're just I can let some of this play.
But that covers about 1,500 square miles. Steve, you mentioned the condition of those marshes. Years have gone by. But yes, the last couple of weeks, that drone video sent out for analysis. This is in and around Route 107 in Revere, not just Manchester Police searching this area. By the way, other agencies, including the Massachusetts State Police, always have also stepped in on that. As we bring back Jesse O'Neill, our analyst with us for today. Jesse, I wanted to ask you about a particular movement made by Harmony's mother, her biological mother, Crystal Sorey here, which was after the February 22nd conviction of Adam.
Absolutely,
By March 28th,
Shorty.
Crystal requested the probate judge, declare Harmony legally dead. So what does that mean? And why was that an
I'm
important
gonna
step
step
for
away
Crystal
just
to
for a
take?
quick second, you guys. I'll be right
It's an
back.
important
I'm going
step
to the
because
restroom.
without, typically when somebody dies, there's a certificate of death that's issued. There's a body that can be seen. The death can be verified. Up until the jury spoke, while investigators were confident that Harmony had passed and that Adam was the one responsible, up until jurors spoke, there wasn't necessarily a legal basis for concluding that she was deceased. So by going to the probate court and asking the probate court to declare her deceased, that estate is then essentially able to proceed forward, despite the fact that there is no physical body or physical remains.
So, Jesse, when it comes to what the judge is thinking about right now, and you heard folks talk about kind of the different metrics that the state looks at here when it comes to sentencing, the punishment aspect, the deterrence aspect, the rehabilitation aspect. But as Benegatti pointed out for the prosecution, he says in his words, there is nothing this court can do for Harmony. How does the judge take that notion into account when deciding what a sentence is?
That's a strong argument from the state.
All right,
Benegatti made the point that in a theft case, property can be returned or.
So I think I did find the video. Let's see. This, I believe, is the one where Adam, where he said that about that he's not guilty and look forward to his day in court or whatever, in at his sentencing for his weapons case. And I think that this might be that video.
But I loved my daughter unconditionally, and I did not kill her.
It happened during sentencing. He loved his daughter Harmony and insisted he did not kill her.
But I loved my daughter unconditionally, and I did not kill her.
It happened during sentencing for an unrelated case ahead of his trial for Harmony's murder.
Is he trying to kind of get his statement of innocence out there?
before, to a jury pool? Was he just overcome with emotion and wanted to get that out there?
Former County Attorney Patricia LaFrance said it could have been an effort to get that statement into his upcoming trial without him needing to testify.
It's a long shot. There are hearsay exceptions. I mean, that's typically what's considered hearsay. There are exceptions, but I don't see any hearsay exceptions that would fit this particular statement because it's just so far removed from the actual event of her death.
But she said he may not want to testify.
Aside from just the sheer subjecting himself to cross-examination, there's also the fact that they could impeach him now with all of his criminal convictions, because that's something, even though a jury can't consider, well, he committed this crime, he must have committed this other crime, they can consider it in terms of, do I believe him or not?
She also said it's unclear what this means for the search for Harmony's body, since it's still never been found.
I'm assuming his attorneys and maybe the prosecutors are still trying to work out some type of a deal.
And Montgomery is charged with second-degree.
Yeah, so that's when he said that. Let's see if they're back. They're not. I think that the judge is going to give him the max. That's just what I think. He definitely deserves it.
Adopted out of foster care. He saw Harmony up to 18 months of age. And we want to play a piece of this victim impact statement. It was really powerful when his adoptive dads were
Thank
speaking
you guys
about,
all for being
kind of
here.
how he is
Appreciate you
processing
very
all
much.
this and what they think the impact is when it comes to him. Let's listen to that.
I'll never forget the day that we told Jameson that Harmony was in heaven. He's a very active kid. And that day he just stopped and he held us and he said, "No, I need my big sister." Why? Why did this happen? These are questions that Jameson has had and continues to ask. Daddy and Dada, what happened to my sister? Why did she die? Why would anyone hurt her? How about her glasses? Are they okay? My God, how will we ever help him process this horrible and brutal details of his big sister? Adam, you have to know you did that. As we celebrated Jameson's birthday in 2019 with the Mickey and Minnie Mouse theme, we had Mickey Mouse there. It's a Disney theme that he shares with his big sister and his mom. He wanted to save a gift from her that day, made from his Nana. It was a Minnie Mouse pillow, but instead, you were beating her to death. That was the same day. If Jameson was old enough to speak to this court today, he would want you to know the void that you left in his heart that can never be filled. Adam, he would plead with you to please tell us where she is.
Not a
Let him
dry
have
eye
a
in
place
that
to go and
courtroom at
remember
this
his
point,
sister.
I'm sure.
Please. He remembers her feeding him. He remembers when they would be at his foster home when she was there, that they would play in the park together. He remembers her glasses. He remembers how proud she was. How do we tell our 7-year-old that you murdered his sister, his protector, his best friend, and you showed no remorse? I wish they could be happy together today. Jameson asked, is she happy in heaven? If she can see him, and if we can visit her, why would anyone hurt her? That's what you've done to her son when you beat his sister to death.
Also, reminding everyone of the victim impact statement given by Crystal Sorey, who is Harmony's biological mother. Her opening statement to the court and the judge was, "To the monster who murdered my baby," and then repeated back to Adam his lie that he did not kill her. Going on to say that Harmony would be thriving right now with her. She had had a life worth living, and saying the contrary of Adam Montgomery, saying she's nothing like him. He's a coward, he's insecure and paranoid, and it drove Adam crazy that Harmony was like Crystal. But to the point of the victim impact statement, Steve, they're powerful on their own. Yeah. However, when they're linked together as these are, and Jesse too, Harmony's aunt here, which is Crystal's sister, Brittany Story, she testified. Her comments to the judge were this.
While we're waiting for the judge to come back in, I did want to share this with you guys. And this was what I was talking about Vinny Politan last night on his show.
Protective Services care. You have people from Protective Services there. You should have a lawyer advocate for the child, independent of anyone else. You have a judge who must adhere to the legal standard of best interests of the child. And then you have an advocate, obviously, for Adam Montgomery, who's fighting for custody so he can get the checks, but none of that comes out. So here's the question. How could all these adults, really part of my system of justice, whether it's family court, criminal court, civil court, it's our system of justice here. How could all those adults in the room at the end of the day say, okay, it's in the best interest of this child to go with Adam Montgomery? Like, did we know about Adam Montgomery's criminal record? He had just gotten out of prison. Did we know about Adam Montgomery's drug addiction problem? Did we know about Adam Montgomery's employment situation? Did we do anything to look at where Harmony Montgomery would be living and staying? Was there any sort of investigation? Any sort of assessment of the living conditions, the level of income? Is there any assessment about how many other children were in the home and how they were living? Was there any assessment of Adam Montgomery's wife and her drug problems? Was any of this done? Did anyone talk about it? Did anyone mention it? And did anyone mention, by the way, that Harmony's mother wasn't in court because she had to be in court for one of her other children at the same time? Was there any mention of, hey, can we all just put a hold on this until mom is here? Was any of this done, or was it kind of like pushed through? Now, I wasn't there.
I think this is really important for people to hear.
It's like everyone knows everything. Oh, yeah, I know what's going on here. Mom is no good. She doesn't even show up to court. Give custody to dad. That's absolutely what I believe happened here. Absolutely what I believe. And mom's struggling with drugs. The judge knows, mom's a drug addict. She didn't show up. She's not even here in court. Dad.
Something that was an accident. It is defined under law as something that manifests the extreme indifference to a human life.
They're back in court.
Your extreme indifference to the value of human life is seen in so many of your actions in this case. In 2019, you beat Harmony. In the words of your uncle, her eye was fully black and blue like a raccoon eye, is what he said. Your words, when asked, were, quote, I bashed her around the effing house. And then you hid her from the view of others, and you kept her from those that came to help her. On the date that you murdered her, you didn't hit her once. You punched her in the head repeatedly. You beat her in the car while at stoplights, more than one time. You knew that she was severely injured, yet you covered her with a blanket and didn't check on her until after you took her lifeless body from the car. And then, after her death, you treated her body like it was trash, worse than trash. You did unimaginable things to her body, and all in an effort to save yourself from being discovered as her murderer. And then, on top of that, you threatened, abused, and beat your wife to keep her silent. Your criminal history similarly reflects your extreme indifference to the value of human life. Your actions having taken both a physical and emotional toll on so many. In 2008, you were convicted of criminal threatening after pointing a knife at a 15-year-old girl. In 2010, you were convicted of armed robbery and assault and battery with a dangerous weapon in a home invasion incident in which it was reported that you held up a woman at gunpoint, terrorizing her to the point that she lost control of her bodily functions. In 2009, you were convicted of first-degree assault for stabbing another person. In 2014, you were convicted of assault and battery with a dangerous weapon and larceny in a case in which it was reported that you shot a man in the face. In 2019, you were convicted of 2 counts of armed career criminal, 2 counts of theft, and 2 counts of receiving stolen property, all of the charges stemming from the thefts of firearms, guns, exchanges of guns for drugs and money. The court has to consider 3 primary goals of sentencing: punishment, deterrence, and rehabilitation. The focus today is on your convictions in this case: second-degree murder, falsifying physical evidence, witness tampering, abuse of a corpse, and second-degree assault. But the prior convictions are important. And they're important as well, as each of them reflects not just your extensive criminal conduct, but but each of them represents an opportunity after sentencing for you to have changed the trajectory of your life, to change how you were treating other people. But you were either unwilling or unable to do so. And as a result, at this point, the court has the responsibility to impose a sentence that not only punishes you harshly for the crimes that you have committed, but considers deterrence, that is, how to keep you from hurting others. In light of the egregious nature of the crimes of which you have been convicted in this case, and taking into consideration your extremely violent criminal history, the court finds the only way to do this is to keep you off the streets. To the extent you seek to rehabilitate yourself, that will have to happen behind the prison walls. Harmony was an innocent 5-year-old girl. You treated her in the worst of possible ways, in both her life and in her death. Therefore, the court sentences you as follows. On charge ID 2027112C, the charge of second-degree murder, you are sentenced to the New Hampshire State Prison for not more than life nor less than 45 years. That sentence is stand committed. That sentence is consecutive. All of these sentences, I should say now, are consecutive to each other, as well as consecutive to docket 216-2022 CR 577, which are the sentences that you're currently serving. Additionally, you're to participate meaningfully and complete any counseling, treatment, or education programs as directed by the correctional authority or probation parole. Law enforcement agencies may return evidence to its rightful owner. You are ordered to be of good conduct and comply with all the terms of this sentence. This is also consecutive to the second-degree assault charge in the docket ending in 20. That is charge ID 1937947C. Do you have any questions about that sentence?
Nope.
On charge ID 2027113C,
Did he really just say nope?
falsifying physical evidence. On this charge, you are sentenced to New Hampshire State Prison for not more than 7 years nor 3.5 years. This sentence is stand committed, consecutive to all of the other charges that I'm about to read you, as well as consecutive to the second-degree assault charge and the docket ending in 20 and the sentences that you are presently serving. You do have the obligation, as with the other sentences, to meaningfully participate in programming as directed by the correctional authority or probation parole. You're ordered to be of good conduct and comply with all the terms of that sentence. On the charge of tampering with witnesses and informants, you are sentenced to the New Hampshire State Prison for not more than 7 years nor less than 3.5 years. Again, this sentence is consecutive to the additional sentences that I've read to you and that I'm reading to you in this case, as well as docket ending in 20.
Is it just now hitting him? He's like, whoa, that's a long time. He does.
You have the same obligations for participation in programming, and law enforcement may return evidence to its rightful owner.
Still acting cocky.
On the abuse of corpse charge, on this charge, you are sentenced to the maximum penalty of 12 months at the House of Correction. All of this sentence is suspended for 25 years. If it were to be imposed, it would be consecutive to the sentences that I read to you. And on this charge, you will also have the provision of a no contact order, and that is no contact with the Sorey family, the Miller family, and the Rafferty family. That sentence is also consecutive were it to be imposed to all of the other sentences in this case and the sentence you're currently serving.
Amen to that.
On the second-degree assault charge ID 1937947C, you are sentenced to New Hampshire State Prison for not more than 8 years nor less than 4 years. This sentence is consecutive to the sentences in docket 216-2022 CR 2372. This is charge ID 1937947C. this charge, you have the additional requirement, as you have in the other cases, to meaningfully participate in programming. Law enforcement agencies may return evidence to its rightful owner, and you're obligated to be of good behavior and comply with all the terms of the sentence. Do you have any question about those sentences?
No, I do not.
All right, before you go, counsel approach, please.
He just seems so bored with it. Okay, let me get back to my homies. Judge, you're kind of irritating me
And you
now.
have been listening to Judge Amy Messer issue her sentence now for convicted killer Adam Montgomery. All of this
He will
to
never
be served
get
at
out.
the New Hampshire State Prison on the charge of second-degree murder in the death of Harmony Montgomery, 45 years. On the charge of second-degree assault, 4 to 8 years. For falsifying physical evidence, 7 years. Witness tampering, 7 years. And Steve, on the charge of abuse of corpse, 12 months suspended, all of these to run consecutive.
So that's like 73 years, I
The
think.
clerk will now address you regarding sentence review.
No less than 73 years, if I added right in my head.
That you have the right to apply for review of the state prison sentence imposed on you on May 9th, 2024. The application may be filed within 30 days after the date of the sentence, but not thereafter except for good cause shown. If you file such an application, your sentence will be reviewed by a board of 3 members who will be either judicial referees and/or superior court judges. Review of the sentence may result in a decrease or increase of the minimum or maximum term within the limits fixed by law, or there may be no change in the sentence. A form for making application, if you wish to do so, is set forth below. Mr. Montgomery, this applies for both cases 216-2022 CR 20 and 216-2022 CR 2372. I'll leave those with you.
Thank you. Do you want to sign your name? Yeah.
That's right, Adam. Sign your life away.
Anything further from the state?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Anything further from you, Attorney Smith?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Angel. Thank you, all of you, very much for being here. I appreciate it. And that's
Watch
it.
there as
So
the judge exits the
I'm
courtroom.
sure that there will
sentencing
be appeals,
now
what have
complete.
you.
Jen, you just listed off the decades, ultimately, that the judge just sentenced Adam Montgomery to. And importantly to note here, those are all being served consecutively, meaning one after the other, after the other, after the other. And this is on top of the previous gun and career criminal charges he is already in the New Hampshire State Prison for. And so you add that to what this sentence is now today, and you are looking at what could effectively be a life sentence behind bars for Adam Montgomery when you add up the totality of these various charges.
Right, the remainder of his natural life. A couple of things that the judge
All right. So basically, Adam, he's going away for life. I'm glad that that's the case. I still wish that Kayla had gotten more. I know I'm not alone in that, but it is what it is. And as I said at the beginning of this, Tara and I will be live this evening. We are going to go over some new documents in the Veronica Butler and Jillian Kelly case. And then we are also going to introduce a new case, Crystal DeMoss and her toddler. They are currently missing out of Great Bend, Kansas. And then we're also going to reintroduce or introduce what I think is probably a cold case of Chance Engelbert out of Hermosa, South Dakota. So we are going to do that live at 6 p.m. this evening. This video, it should automatically take you to the link for that once it ends. And again, I really appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate if you give the video a like, and to the mods, thank you always. I appreciate every single one of you. And so I'm going to get to work on that live for this evening, and hopefully we'll see you guys all back. And with that, I want to once again just say rest in peace. Heels, we love you. And I'm going to leave you guys with Chasing's video one last time for Heels. Thank you so much, you guys. Bye-bye.